Welcome back to the DreamHack SteelSeries CSGO Championship. We're back here at the studio after Fnatic beat Mystik on Inferno 16-6. I'm still BSL from the block, and with me, Sir Scoots and Thorin. Your thoughts on that match, Scoots?
Great play by Fnatic.
Well, we saw Fnatic. They went down 4-0 early, and then they started to claw their way back. How did you see that game unfold?
Well, I was standing mostly behind them for that whole first half. And again, as we talked about earlier, you've got a really short window to hit your momentum stride. And it's sink or swim, right? So they lose that first gun round. They lost a pistol. And they went 9 straight rounds. Amazing stuff. And, you know, I think it goes a long way when you got a guy like Karn standing behind you, who's not just the manager and the boss man, but like he's been in those seats. He knows the pressure, and he definitely kept them calm, cool, collected. Yeah,
we talked a little bit about that as we were watching the match. What did you think about the way Fnatic were communicating with each other in-game?
Again, rock solid. Again, I don't speak the language, so I don't necessarily know what they were saying, but you didn't see a whole lot of anger. Just very calm, very collected. And again, Karn kind of steering the ship in between rounds, keeping them nice and settled.
Thorin, you've analyzed hundreds of Counter-Strike games over the years.
Sure.
How do you see Fnatic clawing their way back from 0 rounds and then taking 9 straight? What were the key for their comeback?
I mean, I've highlighted each time we've talked about the lineup of the Fnatic team, like having a real in-game leader. There's a big difference. Every team has an in-game leader. It's just a role that someone has to do. But there's having an in-game leader and having a real in-game leader. Someone who knows the tactics. He knows when to switch it up. This isn't working anymore. Go to this instead. And so what you saw from Fnatic was, yeah, they had all these great afterplant situations. You can put that down to like clutch play by single people. But when you put yourselves in those situations over and over again, and then you have a team that knows what it's doing, that's where you're going to win. Whereas vice versa, maybe the Mystik guys, they're a newer team. They only got Apex like a few months ago. They look like maybe their team play isn't as good necessarily in that area. They didn't necessarily put themselves in the situations they wanted to be in. I mean, just to add in a little feature as well, since we didn't get to like predict that game, what's interesting is I would have actually predicted the opposite here. I thought actually Mystik would win because when I looked over the stats, Inferno was Mystik's best map, believe it or not. Whereas Fnatic, they've been shaky on this map sometimes. Well, what's interesting was this Mystik team, if you saw on that map, you'd think that was one of their worst maps. Yeah. So Fnatic's level rising way higher than I thought, and Mystik, I was expecting this to be one of their chances.
During that game, we had some computer crashes, which caused some delays in the match. From a player perspective, how do you think it felt for the Mystik players who were already in trouble? Was it good for them to get sort of a breather to like talk a little bit amongst themselves on what to do, or was it just more problems?
That's always a double-edged sword because it depends on the temperament, the sort of the experience level of the two sets of players. Because sometimes you'd think it might actually take away from the team leading because it's like, we're leading, we want to keep it going. You know, don't give them any chance to think. Meanwhile, the guys, maybe they do get a breather. But then again, if you don't know what's going wrong and things are going wrong, sometimes then you spend that time. I've seen the Polish team famously argue when it's like a timeout or something, and that might have made things worse. So I think from the way the game went, they couldn't do anything with the little fake timeout from the computer crashes. So in the end, I don't think it had that much of an effect.
Really quickly now, what's the score between the two of you for predictions?
Thank you for bringing that up. 2-0. Off camera, we didn't get a chance to do the predictions live. So off camera, we did actually do them. He picked Mystik, I picked Fnatic.
I'm going to come from behind, don't worry.
So he's just setting up the drama of the chase here.
We're going to be here in the studio for 3 days, so I'm sure we're going to have plenty of opportunities to revisit these kind of predictions. We're going to move on now, as Fnatic have. They're into the final stages of the tournament, while Na'Vi lost their second consecutive match against LGB Esports on Mirage, and that means that Na'Vi are gone from the tournament, unfortunately, but there's always teams who has to go. And the next match, which is coming up next, is Mystik against LGB. How do you see that match? And we got Fnatic up on screen here as well, and they're not anymore. But how do you see that match, Thorin?
The way, actually, here's the interesting thing. This game will be on Inferno again. So I'm going to stick with my original thinking in the Fnatic game. Listen, the thing about map stats is map stats are against everyone you play. So if you play some lesser teams, you can get your maps that's really good on your good map. Meanwhile, maybe someone like the Fnatic, admittedly they had different lineups back then. Maybe they're playing NIP all the time and they're playing very good. So that's going to make your maps like look bad even on the bottom. But Mystik is their best map, Inferno. Meanwhile, for the LGB guys, they don't have that much experience. They're a bit more shaky. In fact, I don't know what map they played, I forget, but I remember that I think the two teams played at ESWC where in the group stage before the French team won, they were actually playing in the group stage, and I think they knocked them out in a close game. So I'm expecting it'll be close because skill-wise, I think the teams are reasonably close. But I'm going to give the edge to the Frenchmen because I think Inferno's the map for them, despite what you might have seen here.
So.
Against the lesser competition, I think they'll shine.
Scoots, this is essentially a rematch.
Yeah.
A couple of hours earlier, Mystik beat LBG by 16-14, the smallest possible margin. How do you think that plays into the heads of the LBG guys? Do you think they're kicking themselves for losing? Because when you lose close matches, it's almost always down to some mistakes, you know?
Again, it can go either way, right? They can either be like, wow, we almost beat them, or wow, we should have destroyed them. So it's all about, their own mental acuity in the sense of how they felt they would do in that match. Like you said, you can't get any closer than that unless you go to OT. So let's go through the rosters here and get ready to rock and roll.
I mean, this team here, what's interesting about them is people who have been following the game and they only know the top teams, they're not going to know many of these players. But actually, if you were around the Swedish scene in 1.6, a lot of them have experience in the semi-pro scene, okay? They were going to the big tournaments, but they would have been going out earlier. So a lot of these players like Exum, Krims, Olof M, these were all in like these semi-pro teams in Sweden. Dennis, he was in those teams as well, but he had a little chance, a little bit of experience. Okay, he was a stand-in for SK Gaming when they finished 4th at the IEM World Championship, a big result. He had a tryout with Lions for a while. That team was kind of like the 3rd best Swedish team for a while. So he has the most experience. He has some legit international experience. Some of the other players still a bit greener, or they've been to the tournaments. They've never had the winning experience though. So I think overall, actually, the experience favors the other guys.
All right, guys, we're going to go over to the official predictions here as we view Clan Mystik that we seen earlier and talked about earlier. Who's going to win this match really quickly, Scoots?
Mystik.
Mystiks is winning?
I think good map for both teams, so I'm going to go, I think Mystik wins big time.
Oh, you just don't want to go down any more points to me, obviously.
Pressure on Thorin here. All right, we're going to send this one over to our excellent casters for the rematch between Mystik and LBJ. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Jonas, from the spot. A little bit of a shock intro there. I am Stuart Tosspot Sword. I'm joined by the one and only Corey Dunn. Our first time together, Corey.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the game. I don't want to miss a thing. And we will talk about the fact that we haven't casted with one another, and even though we've been casting for years and years and years separately from different entities. But right now you can see the way things have been kicked off already. It looks like Clan Mystik, they lost their pistol round against Fnatic. Those Swedes, and now against LGB Esports, it looks like they're about to lose this round here against LGB Esports, and hopefully we can hop in here. It's down to a 1 versus 3 with Kirishima. Of course, I apologize for any. I'm English speaking. You're English speaking, and so we're probably going to butcher a lot of names. I probably can go with some translations for each one of these players. We'll kind of talk about that here in a moment. But here we're down to this 1v3, and he does rotate all the way to the other side here to be able to pick up the game.
Yes, he does, and he's going to get the bomb down. That's money in the bank, so not too shabby.
Last time.
Picks himself up a headshot as well. Amazingly, he's got himself into 1v2. They're both going to come around that corner now, and together they're stronger. As Kirishima will wait back, pops his head up. He's going to have to pull a real rabbit out of the hat here. None of them going for the defuse, actually, as they're both pushing in to get
Smart
the kill,
play.
and they do. And Krims will push in and get the defuse. But bomb down, not all lost. And now let's give ourselves the real introduction.
All right, so it has been, we've been casting for a long, long time, and we never actually had the chance throughout all of my years. And it seems like DreamHack winner for me is where I get the chance to finally cast with someone that I never got the chance to cast with. Last year, it was casting with Red Eye, and this year I get to finally get the chance to be able to cast with you. You and I have been friends for a while.
Yeah, QuakeCon days. We see each other every QuakeCon.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're quite right, and it's a shame. Shame Red Eye couldn't be here today, but his pension just got drawn, so he's out collecting that. Yeah. As we're on board with, there'll be more Red Eye age jokes to come.
Oh, there'll be many. But one of the things to kind of go back to, the fact that they got the bomb down there for Clan Mystik. Last time what we've seen from Clan Mystik, whenever they were facing off against Fnatic here on DE Inferno, they won the pistol, or they lost the pistol round, but they got the bomb down with Apex with low health. This time they got the bomb down again with Kirishima, and he was able to get the bomb down. What they did last time in the second round, they decided to go ahead and buy because they assumed that they were going to see some mixed buying happening there from the CTs. We're seeing the exact same thing happen here for the CT side here with LGB Esports with this mixed buy, but the difference is from last matchup is that we're not seeing a buy happen here with Galil's from the Terra side from Clan Mystik.
Who are rushing now all the way top into that B-bomb site, but the P90 power of Olaf Meister wipes out 3, and Krims will help himself to the 4th frag as well, and that'll be a almost clean sweep. They lost just 1 man in that incident and that entry, and that'll be 2 rounds to LGB once they get the defuse. And we should mention that, of course, this is not the first time these two teams have faced off against each other today. And the last time out, in the first game of the day with Anders on stream 2, you would have seen a 16-14 10.
It was a great game to watch. Whenever I had the chance to step over there and watch that matchup, it was already 15-12. And one of the things that I mentioned before is that you'll see a lot of emotion coming from Clan Mystik. Even though they were winning 15-12 at game point, they were still getting frustrated with one another whenever they started to miss some of the shots that were key components there going into it. But they did win that one 16-14 on a very well-executed strat. They were on Dust too, so we are going to see some changes happen. And remember, LGB Esports is on a great momentum shift. They beat Na'Vi out. They eliminated them. And Clan Mystik just lost against Fnatic.
So here we go. LGB up against a fully armed Clan Mystik as the first frag will come in from Skitten as he gets himself the frag onto Apex, and Skitten's one of those names. Dunn did go over and get a pronunciation from him. But
I'll go through a whole spiel of how to pronounce each one of these players' names. And again, we have always apologized for butchering anything that we're not native to.
And here we go. It's going to be Kelly to try and make his way around the back. He's going to go in towards this top site. There's no one there for him. He was expecting to see someone maybe down in what used to be called the Modo Bed as he makes his way now to flash around the corner. There would be someone if he went there this time as he lies in wait. Gets reinforcements, and I think he's actually just trying to draw some fire before a quick rotation round towards the B site, which is exactly where Kirishima is, as he is all the way up the top of the banana walkway. Has, as you can see through the X-ray, someone coming around there. He's got 2 players in that site, pokes his head in, and here we go. It's going to be Olaf Meister and his P90 to clear out. No, not going to get even 1, and suddenly 4 terrorist players surrounded him. Great work in there from Krims, gets himself a frag before Yorick will come back. Dennis picks himself up 1 and 2 to finish off the round, and LGB have 3, and more importantly, they took out that first Clan Mystik buy round.
As you watch, they started to push up there inside of the site. Really came back to the fact that they were exchanging kills there inside of that B bomb site, therefore in favor of that counter-terror side. And that allowed their teammates to rotate quickly. And whenever they rotated, they actually had 1 player that was flanking behind on the banana side and 2 pushing that through CT. They picked up the round pretty successfully. But again, just kind of give you a quick little roster rundown. You've got Whithen. That's again my
his words, not ours.
That's my attempt at trying to have a little bit of Swedish there. It stands for basically what I was explained there by Anders is that it means shooter, and so that's a good way for us to kind of translate that for you. Krims, you've got Exim, and also have Dennis and Olaf Meister as we take a look here what's happening so far in this save.
Dennis helps himself to 3 big frags as he delivers from the pit. Now he's going to go looking for 1 more as they come in towards that bomb site. Ow! Finally, it's going to be Olaf Meister that drops the last man, and Dennis has 4 frags. No, Olaf Meister got the last one. Dennis gets away with 3 frags, and the round goes the way of LGB. And we're going to see a big narrative in this tournament with so many Swedish and French players in the game. We're going to see a lot of these Sweden-France matches, and this is already the 2nd or 3rd of the day.
Yeah, this is kind of what you consider, well, the matchup between Fnatic and Clan Mystik would be kind of that lower tier between the Swedish and the French. If you're talking in terms of, you look at in comparison to the NIP versus Very Games matchup that we've seen before. But the French, they've come out strong in FPS. We're talking about all first-person shooters, not talking just about Counter-Strike, but for every other game that's out there too. So it's really just great to see this just different playing styles that are kind of collapsed all together. Of course, what we're waiting on right now is a pause. Even though the game looks live right now, I haven't seen any confirmation yet from the admins, but that's what we're seeing right here. Olaf Meister taking no chances he's just going to go ahead and wait here, and because he hasn't seen anything happen yet. So again, you take this in a very mature way. You make sure, even though they might be just sitting back waiting for this pause to happen, you still consider it as a live round until the admin basically says, hey, no, it wasn't live, we'll wait for it.
Yeah, we lost Yorick there, and he will disconnect. So you went over, you did the professional thing, you went over to LGB and was like, guys, help me with some of these names.
Oh, yeah, so that's one of the things that, I think one of the things as a shoutcaster you should always take advantage of whenever you're at a LAN event. You should just go up and say, I apologize. I want to make sure I say your name correctly and get the pronunciations. If you're talking about any like college sports or real sports, you'll sit there and have a whole playbook or stats and information, also pronunciations of how to say each one of the players. So you ever wonder why any of the announcers there during your live sports, they get every name correct? Is because they have a full pamphlet that goes over the abbreviations and how, or the pronunciation for everything on how you go about there. As you can see, Clan Mystik getting down there and doing the IT work and trying to get things going here. We saw this happen before, though, whenever Clan Mystik was facing off against Fnatic. They had some little technical issues going in there to the earlier rounds, and hopefully this doesn't deter them from coming back and really being effective.
No, absolutely. You don't want this to go out. So it is actually 4-0 in favor of LGB.
Right.
And very compromising camera position there.
Yeah, so one of the things, though, too, that I mentioned earlier is that Valve spent a lot of time last night in making sure that all of the backups work, making sure that any type of situation that we normally think of. So we had the admins here kind of running down, well, this might happen. We may have to run into an overtime, and we may actually have to restart a match during that time frame. How do I back up? Or what happens whenever we accidentally back up too far? We say that we need to go to the 10th round, but actually we needed to go to the 12th round. So the fear is, well, if we went back to the 10th round, we may have lost what happened in the future. But the good thing is we can always still go back. So all of this data is still compiled in there. Just putting in a full perspective that every outlook has been taken care of. And Valve has really just done a great job of looking at every bit of this game.
Well, quite unique there because, I mean, you go back to CPL days and so on. You know, you're a little bit on your own. Now Valve, hands-on. This is their product. They know what they're, they know the expectation of the audience because, they set such a precedent in Dota. And that's really coming across here in CSGO where, the bar has been raised by Valve and I think everyone is grateful for it.
Well, so one of the things that we always look at, and the fact is Valve is now not only just listening, but they're communicating. And so there's that feedback, there's that communication level that's happening amongst pro players, amongst shoutcasters, amongst admins, amongst leagues, with Valve directly and saying, hey, these are the things that we know we need. And so one of the things is that they're listening and they're saying, okay, that's right. And let's try to coordinate and help you out. And what I'm getting at is all the things that we used to have, whether that's match medic and having the ability to kind of go back into game and everything, coming back basically what we're talking about with the backup files, talking in terms of the shoutcasting side, looking at the spec, the Go TV, things that we anticipate that should already be there. And then from there, we can kind of build and kind of grow the game even further. So,
now from a viewing perspective, we've got everything on our screen we could ask for.
Oh, for sure. And it's just a great thing for a whole spectator environment.
So we are waiting on a PC getting fixed if you've just joined us. LGB versus Clan Mystik. It's 4-0 in favor of the Swedes. The Swedes who lost the first time these two teams actually faced off. Done in 4 rounds. I mean, really, we're only talking about 2 rounds, 1 bye and the pistol round. Seen anything that gives you some excitement from LGB? Anything to suggest they could reverse this?
Well, the main thing for sure is that that LGB is coming off of a win, taking out Na'Vi. But of course, I mean, you and I can ramble about this for days. We can talk about all the different things that are happening throughout the matchup. But let's go ahead and get again a better viewing experience of what is happening here and send it back over to the studio.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Steel Series CSGO Championship Studio. We're on some sort of a break here in the match between Mystik and LBG. There was a computer crash for one of the players for Mystik, and the score was 5-0, I think, for LBG. So Mystik obviously fighting for their lives in this tournament. We talked about the computer crashes earlier for them. What do you think, Scoots? They're on the ropes. How do they feel?
I mean, again, it's one of those double-edged swords. Like, they now have all this time to regroup a little bit. Obviously, they're down, but they're also down on Inferno. So on that side, not necessarily the end of the world. But it gives you that extra time to go, okay, well, this was not working. Let's tweak this. But other side of the coin, you know, last thing you need is your shit going south, right? Whether you're winning or losing. Momentum on the opposite side hurts these guys. They're rolling. They're doing well. Long pause.
And they're inexperienced as well.
Exactly. So goes both ways.
From what we can tell, LBG is using the time to talk a little bit together and about how they're playing. The players are just short of us here, down from us here at the studio. But it must be hard for Mystik coming off that ESWC win and finding themselves in all kinds of trouble here at present. From your research, Thorin, coming into this tournament, did you feel that Mystik was a legit contender, or are they the one-off, the one-shot winners?
Yeah, that's actually the interesting thing, because first of all, the reason they're famous, aside from the win, is that they have some members who themselves were paralleled in a previous one big off win that was never manifested in another big win. So when I say they're not legit now, I don't mean they're a bad team. They're like a top 8 team in the world. What they aren't is a legit contender to actually win this whole tournament. And what I mean by that is the way they won was a one-off. It's not necessarily a fluke directly. It's a fluke as much as it won't happen again. There were reasons as to why it happened, things that happened that went their favor. I would compare the two results equally like that. Like the WCG emulate winning it and then them winning ESWC. Similar reasons. It's like the opponent you get to face in the finals, the perfect one for you to face. You have certain players play out of their mind in a way they likely aren't going to do day to day to day. And like, you know, Forrest and Get Right play amazing. We rely they're going to do that next game as well. If some player who's just an okay player plays like Forrest and Get Right, that's probably not going to happen tomorrow because he's just an okay player. Now, with this team here, when I say they're not legit as a contender, they are legit as a good team. Like, actually, I've been more impressed by watching some of their games here because you don't get some of these results. Like, you can win one best of 3 as a fluke, okay? You can get a little fluke like that. You don't win, like, 2 best of 3s as a complete fluke, though. When they did beat those teams, Astana, Dragons, Very Games, 2 of the top 3 teams in the world, they beat them convincingly. They beat them on maps that they're very good on. They beat Astana and Very Games both on Inferno. A cool story for you. The deciding map that they won the 2-0 in the final of ESWC was Mirage, okay? Now, Very Games is a very good team on Mirage. It turns out, after the match, Apex from Mystik said, oh, we actually had never played Mirage as a team, you know, in like the competition. Like, they might have individually.
That's crazy.
And they won the tournament. So you can see there, that's them almost even accepting themselves. Like, this was a magical thing that happened. It's not necessarily every day it's going to happen like this.
In your opinion, as a follower of the CS scene for a long time, I mean, in 1.6, there were some French teams who were doing good occasionally. Like you said, Emulate won, but they won one.